1962, Everett Rogers, a psychology professor, popularized this theory in his book, Diffusion of Innovations. So what is this theory exactly? Well, Rogers defines diffusion as the process by which an innovation is communicated to the media over time among members of a social system. According to Rogers, adopters of an idea or any new innovation can be categorized as innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. To have a better understanding, let's use Facebook as an example. When Facebook was created, the innovators were the creators of Facebook. The innovators are passionate about what they do and have a unique set of skills. This gives them an ability to create new ideas and or products, also taking the risk to adopt new ideas. Early adopters analyze the innovation during the takeoff phase and spread the word to upcoming adopters. In this case, students interested in technology, systems, and new ways of communication. Early adopters are crucial for an innovation to become popular. They are the people who carry through the innovation. Following the adopters of the innovation are the early majority and late majority. These group of adopters have the most percentage of individuals in it. Early majority, in our example of Facebook, is the whole student body of several different universities, such as Harvard and Stanford University. The late majority are the 800 million plus current users of Facebook. Laggards are those individuals who are not interested in the innovation. Facebook laggards can be our grandparents who could care less about social media and or don't know how to use the technology. In addition, some laggards have no other choice but to be laggards. For instance, the individuals in poverty who cannot afford a computer or the internet. As we can see, the diffusion of innovations explains how innovations are adopted in a population. It also gives an insight on the process of social change. This theory shows that successful ideas or products do not need to persuade people to change. Diffusion of innovation demonstrates that ideas must evolve and become better for the needs of individuals. Once evolved, it will be adopted by the majority of people. In addition, it points out the importance of peer networks. So, if you see your grandma browsing Facebook or using Microsoft Windows 8, you can recall Rogers' diffusion of innovation.
That just saved you a lot of reading. And I think it's an important learning to just kind of have in our head as leaders. A number of you probably already knew everything that we just saw. But I thought it would be helpful, because as we think about thinking politically, we want to recognize that for any innovation that we do, people are at a different place in the innovation. When we think about who we were as a group on the dance floor, and that one group started morphing over there, who were the innovators? Charles was, right? Yeah, he was the innovator. And who were the, do you remember somebody said, no, we wouldn't have gone over there. They eventually would have come back here, right? That was an appropriate response. That's fine. That's okay. But that would be, for that social innovation, you were embodying what a laggard would do. For that, saying, no, we're not doing that social innovation, right? And sometimes a laggard will help us not do a social innovation that we shouldn't do, right? So it's all good data, right? But that for any social innovation, any change that we're trying to bring a body of people through, that people are at different places, right? Okay, so if you think about a leader, where for a social innovation in a church should a leader be? What do you think? To that side? An early adopter?
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
Situation dependent.
Situation dependent, yeah. I think that's true. I think that sometimes you need to be an early adopter. Sometimes you need to be someone who makes space for the innovator. Because what do people usually say about the innovators before the change is adopted? What do we say about that innovator? They're crazy, they're heretics, they don't understand that doesn't work here, right? And so what's a leader's job for the innovator? What does a leader need to do to make space for the innovator? Go to the balcony, yeah, very good, right? Listen, right? And you have to be aware of that there's people on every end of this continuum, and they're all necessary, right? You should never look at a group of people that are going through a change and say, you know, if we would just get rid of the laggards, we could move a lot faster, right? Right? Or if we could just get rid of the innovators, we could be a whole lot more comfortable, right? And social groups tend to want to do both of those things, right? We tend to want to hack off the innovators and sometimes hack off the early adopters, and we tend to want to hack off the laggards, right? And this whole chapter about thinking politically has as its premise that all of these people are people loved by God. In our context, right, for a church, they're all people who are loved by God. They all matter to our shared mission together. And that thinking politically is about how do I love them and how do I communicate and make space for each of them, right? So then into the chapter, thinking politically. It starts with finding partners, right? And partners are those people who will get the innovation. They're people who will appreciate what you do. And it's important that you find partners. Where on the continuum should you find partners?
Early adopters.
Early adopters, that's the first impulse. Where on the continuum should you find partners? What would be the effect if you want to do a social innovation that is going to be very threatening to a laggard or a late majority? What would be the effect of finding partners in this area? Yeah, Jerry.
You hear a completely different perspective.
You'll-
Because if you think it's a great idea, you're
Yeah.
going to be very one-sided. You need to hear the other side of the coin.
Exactly, yep, right. So you need to hear the other side of the coin. They've got something valuable to add. Go ahead.
And I think too that if they partner with you, then your voice, or better, their voice is taken into that group.
Yep,
And then they may be opening avenues to being a little more open to the innovation.
very good. So there's two motivations for finding partners, not only in the early adopters, I mean that's a good place to find partners, but also in the laggards and late majority. One motivation is the political motivation that they're going to help the innovation be more easily received by other laggards or other late majorities. But they're also going to, as Jerry pointed out, I think that's part of what you're trying to say, is they're going to make the idea better, right? That maybe that innovation that you had is not exactly right, and it needs some reshaping from perspective that you're not necessarily going to be looking for, right? And so you've got to find partners, and you've got to keep the opposition close. Some of those folks in laggards and late majority, they're going to stay opposition, right? And what's our tendency when we're trying to do a social innovation and we know who our opposition is? What's our tendency? What do we do?
Brush them off.
Brush them off, right? At Maranatha, after the service, we have a time of coffee in the gym, right? If you're maybe working on a social innovation in your ministry, and there's somebody who is at the opposite end of the spectrum, and you walk into the gym, what's your natural tendency? To walk toward them or to walk toward any other circle? Right? Right? So what's the value in your reading? What's the value of keeping the opposition close? Yeah, Jerry?
If nothing else, it just keeps it open for dialogue.
Keeps the dialogue open, for sure. Yep.
Even
Good.
if you're talking about something completely different, pure approachable.
Yep. Good. Schmoozing. And that's where it starts to feel a little like it needs to be properly motivated, right? Yeah.